Have you ever thought about traveling the world? What is life like living as a nomad? And what happens when a life-threatening diagnosis becomes the spark to start living fully right now? On this episode of The News and You, we hear from Mika in Suasti, where the jungle wasn't just her home, it was her teacher, where she learned connection through community, freedom through simplicity, and family through shared survival. She later traded the wild rhythms of the forest for the structured halls of higher education, spending nearly a decade studying and working full-time. But the pace left her weary, and burnout became a turning point, an invitation to reimagine her life. Less than 5 years ago, Mika stepped fully into a nomadic path. Now she mostly carries her home on her back, moving from country to country, working for a non-profit that provides clean drinking water to underprivileged communities. It is work that not only sustains life, but also fuels her calling to travel, to listen, and to tell stories that remind us how deeply we all belong to one another. I'm Eleisha Foon, journalist, storyteller, and I believe everyone you walk past has a story, and that story could change your life. So let's crack it open to discover the news and you. Imagine growing up in the Amazon, where the canopy was your ceiling and the rivers your playground. Mika grew up in the heart of the jungles of Ecuador. Her hometown, Shell, was created in 1987 by the Shell Gas Company, a city located on the western edge of the Ecuadorian Amazon near the eastern foothills of the Andes. A life she calls free, wild, and safe. Her appetite for travel, culture, and exploring the world was adopted by the different visitors who came to learn from her indigenous community. It was here they shared cultures, resources, and their language. It planted a seed that grew, and one day she knew she'd be traveling the world.
I was born in a community in a town called Shell in the jungle. But when I was 5, my dad was hired by an indigenous community into the deeper jungle. So we moved at the age of 5 to a very small town, 2,000 people, one school for the whole town. We didn't have any family nearby, so I grew up very, very close to family. We created this deep bond between each other. My brother was my best friend. And yeah, it was just a gift to be that close to family because we did depend on each other for relationship. Life was very simple, a lot of nature, a lot of wildlife nearby, a lot of cultural immersion with indigenous communities that my dad worked with. Just a very simple childhood. And now I can say that. But when I was a child, I didn't know any different. I didn't have anything else to compare. We have a lot of influence from missionaries or North Americans that came to the communities. So I was always intrigued by the language, by the culture. And I think that's where my passion started a little bit. That like curiosity of what is the world out there like was around them a lot, but never had the opportunity to learn English till I was 20. So after high school, beginning of college, that's when one of my neighbors offered to help with English lessons and kind of just started talking with her every day, practicing with her family, engaging in conversation and the little words that I knew. And by age 20, 21, I was pretty good at the language, I will say. And that has opened a lot of doors, knowing a second language. So that's a little bit of a picture of growing up in the Amazon region in Ecuador, being able to walk to school, to ride my bike to school, with no a sense of danger in mind at all. Everybody knew each other in town, so if I didn't show up at the house, somebody knows where I was. Being able to play in the backyard or a few blocks from home with all the neighborhood, like like children, being able to just be there till 8 p.m. and my parents being like, okay, it's time to go home. I love that aspect of growing up in such a safe environment. We have a pet monkey. We had a dog, a cat, and a monkey at home. That was just super normal. Once again, that was my only reality. That was the only thing I knew. My walk to school was probably like a 20-minute walk. It's a public school with about 200 kids. Education was pretty good. There were so many things outside of our backyard. Guavas and cassava and lemons, sugarcane. We didn't have to buy any of that.
The jungle was only the beginning. That seed of curiosity grew into a life of movement. It became a journey across continents, where she wasn't just guided by maps, but by meaning.
Being Afro-Ecuadorian, there's already a stigma with that. Growing up in the jungle, it's just two stigmas around culture and ethnicity that already puts you lower, and you have to work harder to get where you are. So I think a big part of that has been getting out there in the world and empowering women like me that come from different backgrounds for different ethnicities to make them dream bigger, that you can dream bigger. I recently asked my mom, do you think I'll be like just traveling the world? Like, she was like, you say you're going to Madagascar, like it's just like a casual thing. And I was like, Mom, did you think this will be my life? And her response was, I have always knew you will get farther in life. And first, to have someone that believe in me before I believe in myself is one of the most powerful things. And that's what I want to do. And it's encourage people, it's empower people, it's show people that you can do it. Like, you can dream bigger. If you told me 5 years ago that I will be living this life, working remote, I wouldn't believe you. But it was asking those questions. He was freelancing and not knowing what I was going to make the next month. It was being uncomfortable. It was saying yes to a lot of free gigs that I didn't want to do. It was finding random jobs that had nothing to do with my career. It was having the uncomfortable conversations. It was just opening my mouth at a breakfast and saying, hey, does your NGO need a communication person? The worst people can say is no, and then you move on. And that's how I do life. I ask the question, and if they say no, okay, I'll just move on. But if they say yes, you get to live your dream.
Of all the places she's wandered, Madagascar holds a special place in her heart. A country alive with rhythm, colour, and the pulse of passionate people, reminding her of life's wild beauty.
I'm a communications manager for an NGO that does education in 7 countries around the world and clean water. And I get the privilege to be a part of that. So if you ask me what is my favorite country in the world, I will say Madagascar. And that has a lot to do with the people. Some of the most kind and generous people I have ever encountered. I had the privilege of entering homes and interviewing the children that we serve there and do the walk from home to school with the kids, and just a beautiful, beautiful experience. It is my favorite place in the world. The joy of the people that I experienced that I will never forget. And luckily, I get to go every year, hopefully. So I'm really excited for next year to be able to see my friends and my people and the people that have changed my life, that have made me feel seen and loved. I'm not the best with children. Like, I'm not necessarily the one that runs towards the children. I like my nephews, my nieces, my best friend's kids, but that's the extent of my like. And somehow when I'm on this experiences and this like partnership visits with work, I become this person that it's like a magnet to the children, and I'm often amazed because that's not naturally me. And in order to capture the stories, in order to do the photos, in order to do the videos, in order to write each of these kids' stories, enter their homes, I need to build that relationship. And somehow my side with children is activated, and I love it. I love that. It makes it even more meaningful.
For Mika, travel isn't about possessions, it's about the people and the memories she carries. Even her backpack has become a symbol of her life on the road. Light enough to move, yet full of stories. It is the one constant in her life when every other aspect is ever changing.
I don't want to romanticize the nomadic life because it has some challenges. I am behind my computer a lot of hours in the day to be able to do this. I do have a full-time remote work and I have a few side gigs that I navigate through the weekends. So it takes work. It's not that simple. What you see a lot of social media sometimes is like this dream life and it's beautiful. And yes, it is. It's also a lot of work too to navigate it. Some of the practical things that have allowed me to be healthier as I do, navigating health through traveling has been having 2 or 3 friends that I consistently FaceTime, call, just that I get to have that consistent relationships because meeting people at hostels, meeting people at traveling, you're consistently meeting new people and I love that. I love the stories, but after you do it for a long time, it just gets exhausting. But I have my 2, 3 friends that know me so deeply and so well. And on a phone call, I feel loved, known, and seen. And I need those friends to be able to stay healthy relationally. Another of the things is like I'm very consistent with my workouts at home, but when traveling, it just gets a little tricky. So running is my outlet for it. I try to keep the same routines as I do at home, eating the same breakfast, regardless of where I am in the world, helps my brain to know that there's something consistent. So it's Greek yogurt, blueberries, and granola. It doesn't matter where I am in the world. I'm always eating the same thing because those are easy, accessible everywhere. So once again, it triggers my brain into like, okay, routine, consistent. Try to get up at the same time every day, go for a run, do my breakfast, and sit on my computer to work. Meditating, it's a big part for me, and I have found out that having a physical space is very important to me. So at home, I sit in the same couch every day, whether that's to journal, to be in silence. But when I'm traveling, that's not something I get. So I use my backpack just in my back and I lean towards my backpack. And that's my consistent item that goes with me everywhere, and a physical space that provides a sense of comfort and consistency when I travel, and an important part of my day-to-day. So find your physical, tangible thing that keeps you connected, keeps you grounded. If you're religious, if you love God, if you meditate, whatever practice you do to stay grounded, find a tangible physical space that allows you to do that every day. It's helped me a lot in my day-to-day. So I will never leave the airport without having a SIM card or access to my phone. I Uber share my location and where I'm going and taking an Uber to a couple of my good friends. So they're getting notifications at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., depending on where in the world I am. But I know someone has access to that, especially being a woman. Unfortunately, have to be a little more aware of safety for men as well. But I think, unfortunately for us, it's higher. I feel the more you travel to, you develop a gut feeling for my walk of faith, for my relationship with God. I will call it Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit has a lot of different names for different people. So whatever you call it, gut feeling, just a sense that you get. I think it's just like you become more aware. The more you travel, the more aware you become of safety, but just the normal things, common sense, a lot of like no walking alone at night. You always meet great people. I had meet great men. There's a lot of gentlemen traveling. And I will say a lot of my experience have been very positive with guy friends that have stepped in and to be a man and to make sure I get places safe. And I'm really, really grateful for that. So if any of my people that have seen me traveling is watching this, thank you. Thank you. You make the world a better place for us women.
Her journey into nomadic life didn't begin with adventure, but with adversity. At 33, Mika left her career in her higher education just as she was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Where others might have given up, she chose to keep going, refusing to put her travel plans on hold. Her choice was radical. Not to wait for life to start again, but to live it fully present, making every moment count.
I was very burn out, and I felt it was time to stop for a minute and to focus on my health and my mental health. So I gone for some checkups, and just before the travels, I walk into the doctor and she is like, "We need an MRI ASAP." So I'm like, "Wait, what? What's happening?" So within a process of one day, I found out I had a brain tumor after I have quit my entire job, my career of 8 years, because I felt I needed a break. And that marked significantly the way I did life when I was 33 to 34. I did chemo while I backpacked South America. The doctor thought I was there that I could do pills. So he was like, "You can do chemo in Ecuador or you can do chemo backpacking South America. So you choose." And I said, "I'm going to backpack while I do it. If I'm going to be miserable, I'm going to be miserable elsewhere." So that was a long, long journey. I'm really, really grateful that I was able to just take a sabbatical for that, be intentional about my body and be intentional about the chemo through that whole year. Now I'm in remission. As of last year, I've been in remission. I had to go in for some checkups. But shortly after that remission, I find out I have an autoimmune disease. So chronic pain started very intense. And now I live with chronic pain every day. And that's one of the reasons why I make the most of every day, because some days the pain is 10 out of 10 or 20 out of 10. And some days the pain is 3 out of 10. So the days that is 3 out of 10, we celebrate. But I think through all this health, as challenging as they have been, yes, I have grief. I had gone through this process of grieving good health and a super healthy body, but I celebrate as well. So I think I put grief and celebration in the same sentence. I don't think I would live life so fully right now if it wasn't for this grief of my good health and my good body. I don't think I would celebrate as much the days where my pain is 3 out of 10 and not 12 out of 10 if it wasn't for this. I don't think I will make the call to my parents and tell them I love you when I feel like it if it wasn't for this. I don't hold back in a lot now. If I have to call a friend, I will call it in that very moment, because I'm not promised tomorrow. So this grieving, this challenge has allowed me once again to live intentionally, to live fully, to walk in the world, being able to feel people, to make people feel seen, known, and loved.
Nomadic living and solo travel has taught Mika about the power of not just showing up, but truly being present. These lessons have become her philosophies, and one of her core beliefs is to leave the world better than she found it. Part of that means embracing cultures, not as right or wrong, but simply different.
I think that has been the biggest thing, to have open hands, to be willing to learn, to experience, to know, to understand. Just being like, "Oh, this is not," and I correct myself multiple times when I'm traveling, like, "Oh, this is not right or wrong, whether I like it or dislike it. This is just different. It's done different here." And I think it allows for what's happening when I enter that country, opposed to these are all the expectations I have for how things are going to go in this country. And I think in the world of social media, they sell us this picture of countries. They sell us this generalization of the people in that country. And to some extent, I see that as a benefit of understanding a little bit the culture before you enter in. But the other side to that is there's a stereotypes that we place on people before we have even meet them. There's no generalization to people. People have their own stories. People have their unique backgrounds. People have the unique battles that they have come through. And yes, they belong to a culture. They belong to a country. But each person has its own culture. I consistently fight that. I feel like I consistently live in liminal spaces where I don't belong here or here. Yes, I'm Afro-Ecuadorian, grew up in the jungle. I speak English mostly with all my friends for my job. And I feel in this consistent place of like living this liminal culture that I don't belong here or here. So I think it has made me more aware and more compassionate with people that doesn't feel like they belong anywhere. And it's okay. That's your own little culture that you have created. And the more I travel, the more things I learn in different countries, from different cultures that I have adopted.
Every place Mika visits becomes more than a stop on a journey. Each encounter adds another layer to the story she carries. A story of listening, of learning, and of living with intention. She has countless stories tucked away, but one that stays with her is about the power of boldness and the courage to ask. A story she brought back with her from Portugal.
I was in Madeira in Portugal, and my friend and I were like road tripping through all these beautiful just sceneries. We get there around 7:30. We're running late to this spot. We're just gonna stop by for a little bit. This Portuguese man comes out, helps us park the car, and it's just one of the most beautiful views I ever seen. He has a closed gate in there, and so he's like, what are these two ladies doing here alone? I'm like, well, we're here. We saw on Google Maps this is a good spot to see it. And I'm like, what is your name? As I usually do. Tell us his name. So he's like, we're chatting back and forth, and I'm like, this looks like the most beautiful place. This is just this beautiful chair just that oversee the ocean, and there's this big high peak mountain next to it. So I call him by his name, and I'm like, well, what are the chances that we can go down and watch the sunset from there? So he's like, that's interesting. Nobody's asked that before. You were bold enough to ask. He's like, oh, this is actually my property. So give me 1 second. So he just walks out. So he comes back and he's like, oh, please come. Takes us to his morning spot. One of the most majestic places I've been. And you can feel just the energy. There was so much peace in that space. So that's this man's home. So he's like, will you like any wine? Something to drink? Please stay. So we're just chatting. He's the most interesting story. And after that, he's like, oh, the mountain turns red because of the reflection of the sun in a little bit. So you're welcome to stay here. So he lets us stay there. And I'm asking him, I have about 20 questions reserved in the back of my mind for people that I meet. And one of those questions was what is your favorite moment in life? And he gets teary-eyed, emotional, and he's like, I have so many, every day. It's a pretty good life. But he's like, if I have to choose one, it will be the birth of my son. But I'm amazed how people, when you give them the chance, the opportunity to open up, they can be so vulnerable in those moments. And maybe to you is a normal response to something. To me, somebody opening their home, it's one of the most sacred things someone can do for you. Home is where a lot of the hard things happen and the good things happen. Because everyone's desire is to be known and be seen. But I feel I cracked the code when I said when I can ask people these questions that let them be fully known.
Through the years, Mika has learned that travel isn't about speed. It's about depth and seeing encounters with the people she meets as an expanding time capsule, holding lived experiences and memories, just waiting to be unlocked through presence and thoughtful questions. Her advice is simple: slow down, stay curious, and remember, you're stepping into someone else's home.
My presence is powerful, that I can walk in a space and change that environment and impact that environment. Whether that's a smile when I'm walking on the street. I have this thing that if you've been long enough around me, you know that I ask people for their name wherever we go, whether that's my Uber driver, the person that is parking the cars on the street, my server, the lady at the bank. A part of living intentionally for me has been taking those 30 seconds to ask a person's names, because I believe they're no longer your Uber driver. They're no longer your server. They are a person. They are a full person that it's loved, is known, is seen. And the moment you call by their name, there's just something so powerful that happens. And that's been the one thing I will do until I'm no longer in this world.
A life on the move carries its own sacrifices. Missed milestones, family far away, the ache of absence. Yet Mika has found ways to transform loneliness into solitude. Many of her friends are married, having children and growing their families. Yet her life could not look more different. Although she has come to terms with living a non-traditional life, the path to acceptance hasn't been simple. It means holding space for two truths at once: the exhilaration of constant adventure and the quiet ache for stability, commitment, and marriage. She's learning that both joy and longing can coexist, that freedom doesn't erase desire, and that the real mastery lies in embracing the tension rather than trying to resolve it. For Mika, the journey isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about learning how both can shape a meaningful life.
Defining loneliness and solitude has helped a lot of my perspective of just loneliness being a feeling, but solitude being this practice. And back to the intentionality in practicing this. How do I do solitude well? And a big part has been transitioning. Like, I moved into the Amazon after about 20 years. I moved back near family. Loneliness and solitude, moving near my family after 20 years of my life being far away. It's been an interesting transition because I live in the bigger city. I had a big group of friends, very social life. I'm also very aware that the life that I've chosen with traveling, it's a life where I move around a lot. So it gets a bit challenging meeting someone. I have a deep desire to be married, but the time hasn't happened yet. And I don't know if it will ever happen. And I have come to peace with that the practice of solitude has given me that space to know myself so well and to love spending time with myself. It can sound a little selfish at times that I'm my own best friend, but I think that's what solitude does. Like, it allows you to recognize that your own company is worth it, that your own company, it's good. And I think after solo traveling, after eating alone, after going to the movies alone, after living alone, you just come to peace with that. If I'm going to invite a partner, a best friend in my life, it's because I truly want that person, not because I need that person. And I'm excited. I'm excited to meet that person if that ever happens. But once again, if it doesn't, I have peace. And I love my life fully now. I don't know if you've heard this before, but it's like the people that's like, I'm in a season of waiting, and it makes me super uncomfortable. I almost want to correct every time. I'm like, no, you're not. You're fully living. You're a whole person. You deserve to live fully, to have a rich life. And a lot of my rich life has come in this season today, and in the seasons to come for now. It has come from family. It's come from friends. It's come from traveling. It's come from random people on the street that bring me joy, from people's stories. It's come from reading. There's so many things that make my life so rich that I'm not just waiting for someone to come along. I'm fully living, and I hope the person that I get to meet in the future is also fully living, and we get to come together and fully live together. You know, I don't know if you have here also the study that has come out that the happiest people in life are single women and married men. I think a lot of my perspective comes from traveling as well, just with the people that I meet. It's like sometimes you are in places and in seasons where, man, it feels so lonely. So the easiest thing to do is if somebody's available, you engage in that, you know? And I hope people realize that before entering and compromising so much to the point that it hurts so deeply, and you have to walk away even at a lower point than the one you started with. But I think my encouragement will be to differentiate, like loneliness. When you're feeling lonely, I think my immediate reaction to loneliness is scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, because it's noise. It will fill the space. It will fill that space, that need, that want, that desire in my head. But solitude, as I say, it's a practice. So for me, has been my emergency call to some of my dearest friends. Hey, this is how I feel right now. And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to share that part of me at times. Just desiring so deeply to have someone in my life, to meet a partner, to meet a best friend. It's vulnerable to tell my friends that. Yet, I think that those have been the calls that have saved my life. My other call that I do is to some of my married friends that let me hear their life as married people, that invite me into the mess that married life can be as well. It's so romanticized. It's like a life with a husband and the kids, and this is what I want. And when you're talking to your friends that are also getting vulnerable there, they're telling you like it's also challenging. It's hard. And I think that gives me a different perspective. Or even hear my married friends say, man, I love your life. You're living the dream life. Being single is where it's at. Just the freedom. So I think both have pros and cons. But I believe that assessing where you're at today and living today. And a lot of my life lately has been one day at a time. I don't love that, but it's something that I remind myself every single day that all I got is today. And if today I'm sitting, crying, being so angry at the world because I haven't met my person, I haven't met my forever partner, I'm wasting today. And I don't want to do that. What if I don't have tomorrow? What if that partner never comes? You are wasting today. And that's for me being intentional about how I'm spending my days in this world. And I would love to tell you that I'm going to live from here to 20 years, but I don't know that. So I'm going to focus on what I've been giving today, what I have today, the privileges I have today, the life I have today, the people that is around me today.
And through it all, Mika shares her journey with the hope of sparking courage in others. If nomadic living and surviving illness has taught her anything, it's this: life is too short to wait. Don't delay joy. Don't postpone boldness. Live fully now.
Live today as today is the last day you have. Call that person. Book that trip. Tell people how you feel. Walk away from that friendship. Walk away from that relationship. Enter that relationship. Post the thing you want to post on your social media. If you've been holding on to something that you feel it will make the work a better place, but you are just not sure about it, do it. The worst you can get is a no. And then you can move on.
Mika's story is an invitation to dream bigger, to live differently, and to embrace new countries and cultures. She reminds us that overcoming adversity is possible, and that every life, nomadic or not, is a story worth telling. Because the strangers we pass aren't just faces in the crowd. They are living archives of joy and struggle, connections waiting to happen, names just waiting to be asked. Every conversation has the potential to shift our perspective. Every shared story, the power to remind us of our shared humanity. In Mika's journey, we find a challenge of our own: to listen more deeply, to travel more openly, and to live with a kind of courage that turns curiosity into connection. And every encounter has the power to shape who we are becoming. What would our lives look like if we stopped chasing comfort and started chasing meaning? And what will you do today to turn your dreams into reality? Thank you for listening to The News and You. Your support means the world. If you believe in the work we do at The News and You, sign up to our Patreon. It really is the best way to keep this going and be part of the Newsies community. I'd be so grateful if you can share the love by leaving a rating and review. It'll help spread these stories even further. What are your key takeaways? If this story impacted you, or even made you see the world a little differently, why not share it with your friends and family? Until next time, remember, your story matters, and there's a shared truth behind everything.